Okay, it's time for another end of month budget roundup. April is simultaneously the best and worst month for me. It signifies the end of all my insurances being paid for the year. It means I know what all my bills are going to be for the rest of the year, because the council tax has come through. I've had the update on my water bill and I've had my 6 monthly reading, but I've also had to pay out a lot this month because it is my last month. So I've had to pay out for my home contents insurance, which thankfully has stayed the same this year. I don't have the opportunity to change providers because my insurance is tied to my tenancy agreement. So that has cost me £200.24. But thankfully, and for the first time ever, it hasn't gone up this year. My business insurance, on the other hand, which I get through Simply Business, has gone up this year, and that's gone up by £8.72 and has cost me £331.15. That covers me for losses for my stock, for materials, for a certain amount of items in transit if I am, say, delivering 5 dresses, say for instance, to somewhere and something happens en route. I'm covered for those. I'm covered for loss of earnings through illness, if the building burns down, all that sort of thing. So these are things that are kind of worth covering. I could take a risk and just not have business insurance, but it's a risk because if something happens, I lose everything and I have no compensation to help me get back on my feet again. So those are my two big insurances. The other big payment that I have coming out is every 6 months I pay for my rent. I don't pay monthly like other people, or a lot of other people do, because my credit rating isn't great. I'm self-employed, I can't guarantee my income. So I pay in 6 monthly instalments, and the reason for that is because when I first started renting here, it was a 6 monthly contract, so I was paying the whole contract. Then they decided, after I'd been here for a couple of years, to put me onto a 1-year contract, but they allowed me to keep paying in 2 6 monthly instalments. That costs me now, because of last autumn's rent rise, £3,300 every 6 months. So I pay it in a chunk. Now I know that happens, it's always happened like that, so I make sure that I have the money to hand, and then I just have to build up the money again over the next 6 months until the next payment. So it's the same money in and out, it just comes in and out in a different way. I've also just had my 6 monthly water reading, to me less, so I'm paying more every month by about 50p for my water because the rates have gone up, but because I'm using less water, I've saved myself £11.58 over the course of the year. It's not a lot. I try to use as little water as possible. I don't use it for watering the garden. I have buckets outside, as you may have seen on some of my other posts, and I collect rainwater, and that's how I water the plants. I try to ration everything. I ration when I do the washing up. I ration when I flush the toilet. I ration when I have a shower. I try to be really careful with water, and it does pay because, as I say, I'm only paying, it's now about £12.56 a month for my water rates, and because I'm on a water meter, I have that kind of control. So those are my big bills out. In terms of food, I'm doing this new challenge of not spending actual cash on food. My food bill hasn't come in very high this month. It's about £4, so that's all really good. Everything else is just ticking along now. It is what it is. I have made 2 purchases this month that I would not normally do, and I'm about to show you the first. It's not too long until I go on my car camping trip, and last year when I did it, I took flasks of boiling water with me. I was only going for 1 night, but they didn't last. So instead, I have gone on to eBay and bought myself a car kettle. It cost me £11.92. Plugs into where you would normally have the cigarette lighter, and it comes with spare cups and bits and pieces, but I don't really need those because I have an insulated cup to use. But here's my little kettle. Isn't it cute? And it just plugs in, boil your water, and I can have a coffee in the morning or cups of tea. I'll take all the other bits with me, obviously, but I thought this was quite a fun little thing, and it's small, so it's going to be perfect to stash away somewhere in my car. I'm going to test this out in a day or so, because I need to make sure that it actually does the job before I go. But I think this could be quite a nice little addition to my car setup. And, you know, if I just take a few bottles of water, I can have hot tea and coffee whenever I fancy it. So I thought of that as a small investment. It'll make life a little bit easier. It'll mean I'll have to take less stuff with me, and I'm less likely to run out of certain things. And it plugs into the car cigarette lighter, so it's not costing me any energy. I just brought this out to my car to test it, and already someone's quipped, "Oh, you're going to make me a cup of tea?" They're so hilarious. Anyway, so let's... I've started the engine because I'm always worried about things like this. Draining batteries. I don't like running things off the battery. So, that's it plugged in. How does it start? Oh, it's automatic. Look at that. Now we're going to wait and see how long it takes to boil. I wonder how long this is going to take. The light's on. I assume there is no switch I need to flick. But I don't think anything's happening. Well, it definitely doesn't have any switches. You're just supposed to pull it out when it boils. It's been going about 3 minutes. And it's definitely starting to warm up. But I think this is not going to be for anyone who's in a rush. I mean, I don't mind. If I'm sitting around in my car waiting for coffee, I'm not going to be in a rush to go anywhere. So yeah, it's the sort of thing that as soon as I get up, I'll drive to a lay-by somewhere where I can get myself organised for the day, and I'll just plug it in and let it do its thing. But yeah, this is not going to be for anyone who's in a rush. I do want to time it though, because I want to know before I go, A, that it works and I haven't bought a dud, and B, how long it actually takes. It's also much smaller than I thought it was going to be. Not that that's a problem. So I've brought my newly rescued thermos mug, which I found at the side of the road the other day, which will be coming camping with me, and I'm going to fill the kettle up with it, and that'll give me an idea of how much. The kettle came with some little cups. They're teeny little cups, and I reckon you can get 4 cups out of a kettle. But they're small cups, and I need more coffee than that first thing. Yeah, it's warming up, but my God, this is going to take a while. Okay, back indoors. I don't think that seasoned car campers would be particularly happy about my choice. But it makes hot water eventually. And for me, I mean, blimey, if I get to use it twice a year, I'll be lucky. So, it's 11 quid. It'll do. I had one other item to tell you about, but I can't show you it because it hasn't turned up in the post yet. Now, I'm still a little bit wary about my phone because I had some problems a couple of months back with the new SIM card that I bought seemed to be corrupting and I lost a lot of files. I think I've resolved that problem, but it makes me a bit nervous, particularly because I'm going to be going on this car camping trip, so I'm going to be away for 3 days, and everything I record is going to be on this phone. So what I've bought is a little gadget that basically plugs in to the charge port, and then you can plug a USB into it and download everything off the phone onto the USB stick. Now it hasn't arrived yet, so I'm going to test it to check it actually works, but if it does, I'm going to use that as my backup, so that throughout the course of my trip I drop everything onto that USB stick, just in case something happens to the phone. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but it's one of those trips where if I lose stuff, I lose stuff. I can't go back and re-record it. That cost me a grand total, I think it was of £2.69 for that little gadget. When it turns up, I'll do a short. I might do it as a short, I might do it as part of something else. But anyway, so that's the end of my spending for April. Trying to keep all my bills down. I have one or two other things. I think there's something I need to do next month, but I'm not going to worry about it for now because I'm just trying to hold tight on stuff. All the big bills are paid for. I can now predict how the rest of my year is going to look within reason. There are a couple of things that are not great. I can't predict. I might lose some money. I've now decided to put some of my savings that came out. I had a fixed save offer which ended at the end of April, and I decided to put some of it into another fixed, which is quite a high interest rate for how things have been, and I've locked some of it away, but I haven't locked all of it away. I've put some of it in an easy access account because I'm really worried about going short on funds or something happening, in October when my rent's due, and what if he decides to put the rent way up, or he decides he's not going to renew tenancies. I don't want to take those kinds of risks. I need to have some kind of backup. So April's not been too bad in many respects. I knew everything, the expensive stuff that was coming. So now I'm kind of on a homeward straight now until October when rent is due again. So at least I can now look at my spreadsheets and predict how things might go for the rest of the year. But who knows? It's all guesswork. It's ballpark figures. But at least I have something to work with now. So that's April done.